Hello.
Hello. How you doing? We are going live right now, right?
We are live on Facebook. We are looking at Marilyn's screen that's coming up, and Marilyn, do you want to turn share off for a second so we can say hello? There we go. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
There's Marilyn. So we are about ready to go live here. Actually, we are going live. We are live for 3 missing links that will activate your unique genius code as an energy healer. We are so excited to get
Hello,
started.
Matthew.
See how excited Marilyn is? Seeing you come
I'm so excited.
She's seeing you come into the room, and we have a wonderful webinar tonight. This is Marilyn's absolute favorite subject. You may not know this, but I think it started a decade or so ago, but she has downloaded and brought forward an amazing healing modality that I will let her tell you about. But I personally have experienced it, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And the reason we're doing this tonight is because for the past 4 years, she's rolled out a modality every year, and we are finally ready to do certification to accredit people for being holographic healers. And so we wanted to roll it out and let the people who've taken holographic healing know that, and also let all of you who've maybe only taken 1 or 2 of the modules learn a little bit more, because you may actually want to go follow through and get on the holographic healing certification program that we've put together. So my name is Joy Roby. In case you don't see how excited I get, I forget to introduce myself. I just think, oh, well, we know you, right? You should know us. My name is Joy Roby. I am so blessed to be business partners with Marilyn Harper, which has completely changed my life. And I'm so blessed also to have watched her build this holographic healing program. We are with Adirondack Company. If you are joining us for the first time, if you're new to Adirondack Company, I know a lot of you are here, and because I'm watching the list blow up here on the bottom of all the people coming in. We love to see you come in, say hello, and tell us where you're from. I mean, that's what Marilyn's doing right now. She's biting her tongue because I'm supposed to.
I'm seeing everybody. Woohoo! Wow,
So,
we've got people from Australia and Palm Springs and Dallas and Oregon and New York and Canada and wow, Oregon. And
so before we get started, I want to go through just a little bit of housekeeping.
Sorry, I got excited.
See, she gets excited. If you've never used Zoom with us before, it is a live streaming program. So you want to make sure that you are giving it as much bandwidth as possible, meaning shut everything else down on your computer and allow the internet to give 100% of the bandwidth to this program. That's the best way to watch it, because then it's like watching TV. It'll be live. There's a little bit of a delay for us, but that doesn't matter for you. But it is live. We're live right now in Marilyn's house, in her home, in her studio. And Zoom, I forgot my train of thought. Zoom is a live stream program. You can even shut down your browser if you've already launched it. If you experience any freezing of the picture or any sound quality problems, let us know. But the best thing to do is just to make sure, again, that you have everything else closed on your computer, because that's a sign that it doesn't have enough bandwidth. And then just log off and log back on. And that's pretty much it. We are going to have a Q&A. Marilyn's got a ton of stuff to cover here. So, and she'll probably go over this again, but we are going to have a Q&A. So I ask you, please, please, please put your questions in the Q&A box, because the chat window starts moving so fast that we lose track of the chats. So if you see other people put questions in the chat window, remind them to put it in the Q&A box. And at the end of this program, we will answer your questions. Now, I am going to disappear. I'll be in the background, so if you have any technical problems or questions, give a shout out to me, Joy. You don't have to spell out my name officially. I still answer to Joy, the Joy. And I'll help you as best I can. And we also have some team members. I believe Julie is in the background too. So without any further ado, it is my sincere pleasure to be able to turn this screen over to the one and only, that the one that we all love and honor. What did the Buddha call her in Thailand? A little ball of light. I'm turning the screen over to the little ball of light in this lifetime, known as Marilyn Harper. Marilyn, take it away.
Woohoo! So hello. I am so thrilled and honored to be here. I see Sherry's from Branson, right here in our own backyard. Thank you so much for all y'all coming in and spending your Thursday night with us. I have to stop and think what day I'm on. We got back from Thailand last week and we leave for Cancun Monday. I know it's a tough life, but somebody's got to do it. And I am so excited, as Joyce said, about sharing level 5, the certification level, tonight. I just want to let you know that what we're talking about tonight, I'm going to see if I can share my screen because I've got a few pictures that I want to show you. If you cannot see the 3 missing links that will activate your unique genius code as an energy healer, please let me know and type that into the chat window and Joy will let me know. But tonight what we're really going to do is focus on lots of good energy for your own energy practice. Many of you are practitioners. You may have a part-time business. You may want to have a part-time business. You may do energy work on your friends and family. Whatever level you are experiencing any of that from, please know that there's something in here for each of you. What we're going to cover tonight is how to define your unique genius code. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the science and power of intention, which really is how all of this came about. Was many years ago, I set the intention, I volunteered to be all that I am. I didn't know quite what that meant. I volunteered to go anywhere, say anything, do anything, as long as you can prove to me that your source energy moving through me and making a difference in this world. And again, I didn't know quite what that meant. If you're new to us tonight, I am a channel. I do connect with Adironda and the Council of Light. Adironda is from the 17th dimension, and the Council of Light mostly are humans that have ascended, like Master Yeshua or Jesus, Buddha, Mother Mary, Isis. And at the end, we'll have a channeled message as well as a Q&A. So, but tonight, we're talking about the science and power of intention. And what I was getting at was, I set my intention to be all that I am. I had no idea at the time that this is what it meant. That to be all that I am meant that I was going to be traveling internationally all over the world, channeling, speaking, teaching, and helping people find the joy that is truly theirs to have. And facilitating training courses in healing modalities, Reiki, and many other things. The power and your slides. You can't see. Oh, thank you. How's that? Is that better? Can you see my slides now? We hope so. If not, I'll go on without them. But in that capacity, in the power of intention, know that That is one of the most powerful energies. And we'll talk a little bit about how that comes about. We'll also talk about the connection and completion of your emotional origins and how it affects your physical body and how in the heck you get to that kind of information. We're also going to talk about how to gain confidence and trust your own guidance in an alternative health therapy. I find that many times people, they are magnificent practitioners, magnificent healing practitioners, but they hesitate to do it simply because they don't have the confidence in their work. And we're going to give you some really specific ways to build your confidence and be sure of what you're helping people do. And then at the very end, before we do a channeling and after and before question and answer, I've got a special offer for the certification of holographic healing modality. And I'll tell you a little bit more about holographic healing as we go along, but really this is about you learning how to utilize the power of intention, how to connect your emotional and your physical body, and then how to gain confidence in that energy. So, it really began in Greg Braden in the 1999, I believe, when somebody loaned me a recording and said, "Here, you should listen to this." It was called The Lost Mode of Prayer. And in that recording, I mean, it was on a cassette tape, if that tells you about how old it is. On this cassette tape, this was even before I started channeling, but it was in the same year that I started channeling. On that cassette, it had a story about a woman, I believe, I'm not sure if it was the Philippines or China, and she had a tumor in her bladder. And through the power of intention, they actually removed that tumor in 2 minutes and 47 seconds. You can see the slide on the picture as you're facing the screen on your left, that has the tumor in it, and the picture on the right does not have the tumor. Those pictures were taken on a video X-ray of the people that were actually doing praying work. And on the whole video, you can Google it. Greg Braden, Google Greg Braden, The Lost Mode of Prayer, or you can Google Greg Braden healing. And he's a wonderful teacher and speaker and an archaeologist and a scientist and all kinds of things. But he has the video of this procedure, and you can hear the people in the background, and you can hear them saying in their language, "It's already done, it's already done, it's already done, it's already healed, it's already healed, it's already healed." And you watch the tumor disappear. You watch it completely go away. And that's kind of where I started this. In the 1990s, when I became a Reiki master, I did my first energy healing session. And I realized that I had the ability to actually see into people's bodies, see into that energy. Now, I thought it was pretty weird, but I thought, well, obviously everybody gets to do this as a Reiki practitioner. They can all see into bodies. But I later found out that they really couldn't, or they didn't know how to access that information. So the very first time that happened, I will never forget it. It was so wild. I was doing a Reiki session on someone, and this is a person that really had an eating disorder. Whenever we were good friends and we went out to eat a lot, and she would never really eat. She would just kind of push the food around on her plate and make it look like she took a few bites. Obviously, she was very, very thin. And I found out later when I asked her about it that she actually had trouble eating because she would get sick every time she ate. She would have a stomach ache many, many times, and she never knew when she was going to have that stomach ache. So when I actually connected with her, what I looked at, I didn't look at this picture. What I looked at inside of her I saw knots in where her stomach would be, like rope knots. Well, I didn't really know what I was doing at the time, and I asked that if this is something that she needs to have taken care of, um, please help me take care of that. And I'm going to stop my screen share for a minute and let me handle that energy and let her see it if I'm supposed to take care of it. If she can't see it, then I need to leave it alone. And that's one of the things that we teach is to put sort of safeguards so you're not getting into somebody else's karma on your energy. But I asked her if she could, what she saw when she looked or sensed, when she sensed into her stomach, and she just said that she felt ropes tied in knots. So with our intention, we untied the knots, and then we talked about in the Akash about what happened when she was a child at her family dinners. There was always a lot of tension because she came from a pretty dysfunctional family. So that carried forward. We untied the knots, we relaxed, and I'm pleased to say that she was able to eat comfortably after that. And so that was in the 90s, based upon Greg Braden's Lost Mode of Prayer intention. It's already done. It's already taken care of. And in that capacity, it's one of those things that you don't know what you don't know, and you're amazed at what's happening. I don't know if any of the rest of you have ever had experiences. I'm sure you have had some experiences that are phenomenal healing practices or healing things with people that you have worked with. That's what was happening with me with every client. I had another client that had scoliosis, and in the scoliosis, that's the curvature of the spine, and we actually straightened her spine, and we straightened it enough it showed up on an x-ray, and she started having neck aches because at that moment I didn't realize that you had to straighten the whole spine, and we were putting a little pressure on her neck, and so all of this is to explain 21, 22 years of practice of learning how to deal with people and learning what that whole process is. And as that whole process comes to light, it's really almost a power-filled energy. So tonight, we're really going to go in and find what those 3 missing links are in relationship to your own healing practice or your own energy work. I'm guessing that each of you have some sort of a modality that you're already working with, whether it's integrative wellness or reconnective therapy or Reiki or quantum touch or some of you holographic healing. And in that, I want you to know that we are really committed to help you learn things tonight that you can take away and put to use. We're covering a lot of material. So if you have any questions or any problems, type them into the chat window. Type the problems into the chat window and Joy will take care of it. If you have questions at the end, then put them in the Q&A box. We're going to actually activate your own innate ability to see or sense inside of your body or inside the body of your client, so you can understand where or what that core of energy is in whenever there's a misalignment. I don't like to call a misalignment a disease or a chronic problem, because it's about your language and it's about owning that. And so it's really when the body is not in alignment with itself. And when the body is not in alignment with itself, what is it that you can do to help put your body or someone else's, if you've got a client, back into a place of alignment? Our job is to really help you understand how you work. And we're going to talk about that tonight and how you distinguish between what you're imagining, what your ego is telling you, and what is actual reality. And we're going to help build your confidence when it comes to whatever modality you are using. And then trusting that in that you have a total and complete understanding of what's happening in the body, and then how to place it back into a place of alignment. And fourth, as a bonus, we're going to activate your ability to remotely view inside of the human form like a hologram. We're going to help you use etheric tools to assist in placing the human form into perfect alignment. And that's our intention. And it's so important to see or sense whatever is happening in that energy. Because when you practice, and that's why they call it a practitioner, when you practice and get that information about a misalignment in someone else, it is so power-filled when you can actually, with your intention and their intention, because it does take both of you, place their body back into a place of alignment. And they can avoid a surgery, they can avoid a big expense, they can be out of pain, they can move in ways that they didn't think possible. I honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you the feeling that it gets. I know what a doctor must feel like after he's performed a really amazing surgery. I don't call myself a doctor. I don't play one on television. I don't profess to be a professional medical associated person. I am a healing practitioner of alternative modalities. So I don't diagnose anything. I do see or sense into the bodies and can help into people. I talk about the bodies like they're, bodies, but I see or sense into people, and I help them find the way to move their body into a place of alignment, into a place of pain-free living, which is totally, totally powerful. Now, another thing that was a turning point in my life, in addition to Gregg Braden's video, Gregg Braden's cassette recording, that was even before video was hardly a possibility, was Dr. Masaru Emoto's work. I'm not sure if you're familiar about it. I'm going to try to share my screen again, which is a little tricky. Maybe I will. Maybe not. Nope, that's not it. But in that energy of connection, in that energy of Dr. Emoto's work, let me tell you a little bit about him. And believe it or not, I came across Dr. Emoto's work in that that sort of focus of meeting Lee Carroll Cryon for the first time. When I met Lee Carroll Cryon, he was in St. Louis, Missouri. I think it was 2001, maybe 2002. I'd been channeling for a year or two, had only seen one other channel. And some friends of mine and I went up, and I sat on the front row, and he talked about Dr. Emoto, Messages from the Water. I was totally fascinated by it. It was one of those experiences that we have that it was like that aha moment. It was a powerful, energetic connection, And in that energetic connection, what I saw was pictures that Dr. Emoto had studied and taken. Let's see if I can do this. I hope you can see the two pictures. This is the picture on the right is a water that was polluted, as you see from the photo. The photo on the left is of a crystal frozen from a severely polluted water. The photo on the right is the same water refrozen after having been blessed by Dr. Emoto. One can plainly see we have the ability to not only heal ourselves, but the earth as well. And this is from Messages from the Water, Dr. Emoto's work. And in that, what Dr. Emoto's work told me was if you have water here, if you have water, and he's proven over 15 or 20 years that it responds to human emotion. If water responds to human emotion, then that makes everything else possible as well. I mean, the body is mostly water. So then the body would respond to human emotion as well. I mean, it's a very simple way to think of things, but that is a part of that intention. That is a part of that focus and that energy. And as it is a part of that focus and a part of that energy, it really does work that way. It really is about the science and power of intention. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza. You can Google him. You can Google Dr. Emoto. You can Google everybody. Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches meditation workshops, and he teaches a lot more. But one of the things he teaches is meditation and meditation with intention. And he brought in a whole team of scientists to test people's brains while they were meditating with intention. I mean, it's so powerful when you think of that. What he proved was that when you're meditating or doing energy work, because that's a very close brainwave to meditating, your brain waves actually slow down, which causes the strength of your intention to anchor in your brain. Now, Dr. Joe proved this with a whole team of scientists. You can Google it and you can find all of his research. He did several studies on it and found that the slower the brain wave, the more likely your intentions are to become manifested. So now think about that. How many times do you meditate? I meditate at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. It would be great if I meditated 3 times a day. It would be great, I know, if I lived like a monk and my whole life was a meditation, but I've not gotten that far yet. But in that capacity, it really is about when you meditate, if your brain waves slow down, and when your brain waves slow down, it causes your intention to become greater through the electrical frequency. What that means is you are manifesting your intention through meditation. Now, maybe some people don't know what I mean when I say intention. So a definition of intention is really getting clear on what you want. The challenge in getting clear on what you want is that when you get clear, the hormone stress, or the stress hormone comes into play. It's like, okay, so this is what I want. So then your brain starts working almost against you because it starts saying, well, okay, so I need to do this, and I need to do that, and I need to set this up, and I need to create that, and I need to do all of these things. And that stress hormone shoots up to the top, and that causes your brain to activate even greater and causes your brain to start trying to solve the problems that the stress hormone brings. Now, this is all scientific. I know. It's like, I maybe could show you charts and graphs and things that would prove that, but trust me, I've done the research. Lots of people have done the research. But what happens when the stress hormone activates in your body and your body starts acting, your brain starts working faster and faster and faster to try to solve the problems that you give it, the manifesting ability goes down because your brain works faster. I know it's kind of weird. You'd think that your brain would work faster and your manifesting would get greater, but instead it's about when your brain slows down with intention and meditation, then that's when the manifestation really occurs. And when the stress hormone kicks in, the brain starts going back and forth, honestly trying to solve the problems that are presented. The minute you start asking the questions, how can I be healed? Something also shifts in your brain. When you go into meditation and you have an intention, say, how can I be healed? Or show me what I need to do to be healed, or show me where my sweetheart is, or show me the new job. Help me find that. Believe it or not, in the frontal lobe of your brain, the neurons start moving around trying to find that pathway. And the moment you start living that experience, your brain will start filling in the details, and you are literally rewiring your brain for the future when you do so at a meditative level. I know. Isn't that amazing? And what sets that apart from just letting your brain go crazy is the act of meditation, the act of slowing the energy down, which is what people do when they do an energy session. It's what alternative health practitioners do automatically, is like they slow that energy down and cause the manifestation to connect even greater. Then, to add to that process, when you bring in the meditative process, you bring in your intention, and then you wrap an emotion around it. People wait all their lives for changes to occur, and yet, if they did those 3 simple things, that's when the changes occur. The situation actually creates a new energy in your brain. So, to live with that intention of good health, you first have to begin to live consciously. That's what the meditation is for. Meditation shifts your awareness. That's how you connect. Sitting in the stillness. I know I hear somebody out there saying, oh, I've tried and tried to meditate. I just can't do it. Well, every time you say, I just can't do it, that's your purchase order. We actually have an awareness bracelet that we wear to help people be aware of every time they say, I can't do that. And when you do say that, you're consciously falling back into those old patterns of pain, falling back into the old patterns of frustration, anger, resentment, which in turn causes misalignment or dis-ease. So that's one of the missing links that I want you to remember, is to just be aware of, to try those 3 things: meditate with intention, and connect with your intention with your emotions and the way you want to feel. You then get to maintain how your body responds to it. That spiritual practice makes all the difference in the world. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about brain mapping, which is his proven program. And in the brain mapping, the heart becomes coherent with the brain. The heart experiences that wholeness, and it brings in the epigenetic changes of what the brain is doing. The consciousness is what actually changes the energy in your heart, which the heart speaks to the brain, and the brain radiates that energy out. It is going into that nothingness or no thingness, as Dr. Joe and Eckhart Tolle both call it, going into that space and then breathing into the emotional feeling of though it's already happened. And when you do that, the brain, I feel like I'm talking really fast. The brain is an electrical muscle. There's little electrical synapses that are going all the way through the brain all the time. When it is at its normal rate, when you're just walking around in the world, it is between 10 and 60 microvolts of brain waves of energy, of electrical energy, 10 to 60. When you are in a meditative state, with intention, wrapped in emotion and feeling that intention, those microbolts of brain waves are magnified to 1 million or 2.5 million or even 4 million microbolts of electrical energy. And all that is going out into the world to help rearrange that vibration. I mean, when I watch that or listen to that, I realize that's what's happening in holographic healing, because all those energies, all those focuses are going in the same direction. And if that's the case and you can manifest that way, then you can do everything. If it's change free, you can do. And when that energy all goes into their inner experience of what's happened in the past, it actually rewrites the circuitry in your brain. So you are experiencing what you're choosing to experience right now. And what happens, I mean, this is scientifically tested. And many times they think that the brain activity is happening so fast that the scientists actually tried to stop one of the tests because they thought the person was having like convulsions or something, or seizures. But they were perfectly calm. Their heart was in perfect order. But what was happening is that radiation of energy was going out at a magnificent rate. And that's what's causing the healing in their own body. That's what's causing the intentions as it is coming through for greater and greater manifestation of good health, of healthy relationships, of healthy jobs, of healthy companies. That's the key. I mean, what would happen right now if our senses were heightened by 10 to 25% more than what they were yesterday? If our outer world is then becoming our inner world, when the brain and the nervous system actually works in tandem, that's when the processes of the quantum phenomenon are coming through. That's when the heart and the brain are actually recreating your own body. The heart and the brain are actually working together to realign your nerves, to realign your muscles, to recalibrate or even calibrate anew that energy. That is the genius code. Take a deep breath on that one. That is the premise of the genius code. And believe it or not, it is innate within you. You have an intention every day, no matter what. You have an intention going through your body, going through your belief system, going through your heart every day that you are on this earth. The key is to be aware of what those intentions are. And following it, you're actually choosing to get the opportunity that your mind and your heart are creating. It's a powerful thing, this genius code. And that's the genius code that we're activating. We're activating, I'm telling myself, take a deep breath. It's so exciting. It's so fulfilling when we think of that energy. It's so amazing when we see all that we can possibly be by activating our genius code. It just makes so much difference. Now, in activating our genius code and in working with meditation, energy, healing with intention, we also have etheric tools that we can work with. You know, when I started in this process, which was actually in the 90s, as I said, with the possibilities, I've worked with other people for 10 years. Then I started working with Joy Roby, my business partner, in 2010. That was 9 years ago. And when I started doing that, I amped up the private sessions for healing. And then I realized that I didn't have enough time to work with the healing, all the healing that needed to be worked with. And that's why I began doing the research and the proof that what I was doing could be taught. And what I was doing, other people could learn and do it themselves, on themselves or other people. And that's sort of why we have come to this point in time. In 2008, 2007, I taught a class. I called it Interdimensional Healing, and because I didn't know what else to call it. And it's exactly this. It was a 7-week course, and we learned how to sense or see into the body, see where the imbalances were, and take that imbalance and put it into alignment. That was the foundation. Now, through all the work that I've done in the past 20 years, I've put together this program, and let me tell you just a little bit about some of the people that have experienced some healing. I've worked with several people that have been diagnosed with macular degeneration. Macular degeneration is where the macula of the eyeball, the lining of the eyeball, gets dry and starts to break off, and it has flakes inside of the eyeball, and that is blocking the retinal nerve from interpreting what the eye is seeing. Or there's wet macular degeneration. I've learned a lot about this, which is where there's a leak of blood or fluid inside of the eye. And in that leak, then it's the fluid or blood are blocking the retinal nerve, so you're not able to see. So several years ago, I started working with someone with macular degeneration. And when we started working together, she could not see her cell phone. She could not lay on her bed and see the fan overhead. Now she's driving. But what I did, it took several sessions, which is why I knew that I needed to teach this. And we took etheric tools in your toolbox. And first, we took those tools and we exercised the muscles that hold the eyeball. We exercised, lubricated them. We went into the inside of the eyeball. And we connected with that. And then we brought in a little angelic, iridescent cobalt blue vacuum cleaner and sucked out the little flakes that were blocking her view. And then we moisturized the macula. Now, that was the physical. Then we went into her Akash, because you see, the emotional component of a misalignment is every bit as important as everything else. Excuse me. I did come back from Thailand with a little bit of a runny nose. I could probably work with that, couldn't I? Although sometimes I get a runny nose, just that's the universe's way of slowing me down a little bit. But what we found in working with her macula and working with her connection, when we went into her Akash, there were all kinds of reasons as to why she didn't want to see things the way they were from her childhood on in this lifetime. And then you can always go back into other lifetimes and see what the origin is. When you go into the Akash, we actually have a course. It's called Navigating the Akash. And it's an online course, and it's got all kinds of recordings and things. You can find it in our store, Navigating the Akash at Adironda.com. And it helps you go into your own Akashic records or someone else's and see where their misalignment began. For her, it began as a child when she didn't want to watch her parents arguing. And so she didn't want to see what was going on. And then that continued through grade school. It continued through, until now. So, but once we lit upon the emotional core and the physical with our etheric tools, we were able to get some real process done and clear out the macular degeneration so she could see again. That's how that intention works. That's how that energy works. I can tell you story after story. Joy even has some stories that I'm not sure if she's there in the background of work that we have experienced.
I'm here, Marilyn.
So can you share with them about what you experienced or witnessed with the intention of clarity?
The intention of clarity. I would love to share with them. I think one of the most fascinating things I saw was early on when I first started working with Marilyn. And I think the universe showed me this, just in case I had any doubt how amazing she is. They wanted me to see this. But we were at my house in Arizona at the time, and we were working, shoulder to shoulder with our laptops on the sofa, as we often do, for those of you who know us. And the phone rang, and it was a friend of mine who had a Down syndrome daughter who was about, I think she was like 18. She was a young adult, but she was not a functional young adult. She had to live at home with her parents. Her parents took care of her. And my friend was in tears, literally. He didn't know what to do. He was beyond himself, and he had heard me talk. He was not really a spiritual person. He had heard me talk about Marilyn and the work that I was doing, and he had called just like as a last I'm losing my words here, as a last means, as a last result. A last resort. There we go. Sometimes it's the simplest things. So as a last resort, he called me and he said, my daughter is in the hospital. She's been there for a while. She's dying. The doctors do not know what to do for her. And the tricky part was she can't communicate. She was a Down syndrome person, and she just could not communicate. She couldn't tell them where it hurt, and so they could only go by what they could physically see happening in the body. She couldn't like point them to other things. And he said to me, I think you told me that your friend can look into bodies, and I was wondering if she could help. And so Marilyn got on the phone with him, and she took a look at this young woman, and right away, I don't even remember what it was, but the point is, right away, she could see something happening, and she said, tell the doctors to look here. It was a place that they were not looking at all. She said, tell the doctors to look here. And once they look there, it's pretty obvious they're going to see what's going on, but they're not going to look there because she's not complaining about that area. Sure enough, like 2 days later, I think, she was actually coming out of the hospital after having been in the hospital for weeks. I mean, they were literally going to let her just die at this point. They could not figure it out. And the other thing about that is she also saw the emotional aspects of what was happening in the family. I won't go into it, but there was a member of the family that was a caretaker that really didn't want to be the caretaker anymore. And that was not that she was doing anything to cause this, but she was not helping with the problem. And so obviously the daughter was picking up on this. There's so many aspects to this that are emotional that Marilyn hasn't even really touched on yet, that are, once she can diagnose or figure out what's going on, then it's up to the patient and the environment of the patient to become the healer and the healing environment. Is that the story that you were talking about, Marilyn?
Yeah, that's a good story.
I mean, I could tell lots of stories because I've witnessed so many amazing things. But that's one of my favorites.
One of the things that with that is you're going into that energy completely blind. You've got somebody that can't physically communicate. You've got a family that's having trauma around that, and you can get clogged up in the energy, or through holographic healing, you can really center in and learn to pinpoint the crux of the situation. Now, you may not even understand it. I don't remember completely the details of that particular situation, but I remember it was something about a fungal infection in the blood. And they were testing her blood, but they were testing it for something else. And if it's a specific type of infection, they have to test for that type of infection. And they were not. And so her blood was coming through or something. Maybe it was her digestion. Anyway, it was fungus. And that centered her, helped the doctors diagnose it and know how to treat it. And she was well almost within 2 days, as Joy said. So the key is, how do you get that clear that quickly, right? And that's really what we talked about. And that's about the confidence and the connection of the emotional aspect along with the physical aspect, and sometimes saying the hard things. Thank you, Joy. Thank you for that story. I appreciate that. I worked with another client. She had a tumor, a growth in her uterus, and she was going to have surgery. I think the surgery was scheduled for 2 or 3 weeks away. That was as soon as the doctor could get her in. I can't remember how long that was. But we went in, and first of all, I saw the tumor. I couldn't tell if it was cancerous or not. They were going to do a biopsy on it because cancer shows up in several different ways. But it was something that could eventually turn into something that you would not want. And so we connected with that, and we checked in with the emotional component in her Akash, and I don't remember if she had had an abortion or a miscarriage. Whatever, the soul of that child was still with her and was, for some reason, showing up now as a tumor, as a growth in her uterus. So we released the soul of the child. We released that pain, and we disintegrated the physical aspects with intention. Much like the already done folks that Greg Braden had talked about. We just disintegrated that with intention. And when she went to the doctor to really have the tests run before the surgery, the tumor was gone. That's how it works. I've worked with other people with chronic back pain, and they were having bulging disc, and I've got all kinds of pictures, but it's so much hassle to show you the pictures. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to talk to you. They had bulging discs, they had degenerative disc disease, and they were going to have back surgery. Well, first of all, we connected with the emotional aspect. The new way to get into the Akash is strictly with intention. It is my intention to move into the Akashic records for the person who is now presently known as blah, blah, blah. I am intending to go into the Akashic records for the person who is now presently known as blah, blah, blah. It's really that simple. And once you get into the Akash, it's about learning to interpret that information and how it's showing up. Like this person didn't feel emotionally supported. So the degenerative disc was in her mid-back, and she also was concerned about finances, which is her lower back. Now, we learned things like that from Louise Hay. Her first, Louise Hay, the book that started Louise Hay is Heal Your Body. I mean, that was written in 1976. She was way ahead of her time. And since then, she wrote many other books on how you can heal your body with that intention. But the lower back is financial support. The mid back is emotional support. And the shoulders or upper back is having to feel like you're supporting the world. So in that capacity, what we did, it seems so bizarre at this moment, but what we did was we actually rebuilt those discs with etheric tools, angelic epoxy, and little angelic jelly that plumped the discs back up. Anyway, she was able to avoid surgery. That's just with intention. Now, keep in mind, with the holographic healing, normally it doesn't happen immediately. It takes place over a series of sessions because they didn't get that way overnight, and they're probably not going to heal overnight. However, with a commitment, I've seen this person, she didn't have to have back surgery. I've worked with people that they don't have to have knee surgery. They don't have to have cancer surgery. The key is to really work hand in hand with the medical professionals to help them with the diagnosis. They diagnose it, and then you as an energy therapist work with the healing aspects of it. Still staying in touch with the doctors, but still working with the healing aspects. The key in working with doctors or healing capacity with anyone is to learn how to stay neutral and to learn how to not let your own personal opinion color what is happening. With the person that Joy was talking about, if the personal opinion might be, they need to take better care of their daughter. But that was a judgment call. That's not where we went at all. Instead, I simply stayed neutral. I simply stayed into that place and asked. Get really quiet. That's why that meditation works very well. Get really quiet and ask, show me where the misalignment is. And then listen. Show me where it is, and then pay attention. Joy had worked with, she had a neck pain that she was working with. Right, Joy?
Yes. Yeah, I since we travel and we take these 70-pound suitcases and throw them up in our car and yank them down and throw them up on the scales at the airport and take these 40-pound bags and put them up over our head into the airplane, I started having a lot of neck pain, and it didn't make any sense to me. And one day, as I was like rubbing my neck, trying to do exercises and get it to feel better, Marilyn looked at me and she said, "Your hip is out of place." And I looked at her, I said, "My hip feels fine." And she said, "No, your hip is out of place." And so I went to the chiropractor, and the chiropractor put me on the table, and she, did what she does. And then she said to me, "Your hip was out of place." So even though I didn't really allow Marilyn to put my hip back in place, I don't know, is that something you can do with holographic healing, Marilyn?
Absolutely.
You can
Absolutely.
you can take something that's physically like not in the right spot and move it into the right spot.
Yes. Yes, you absolutely can. I've done that with scoliosis. I've done that with, bones that are not in place. I've done that with, sometimes it is easier just to go to the chiropractor. But it's nice to go to a chiropractor that is sensitive about where you are really out of alignment, and to know that it's not the obvious places. I think that you can put bones back into alignment with intention, and we teach that in holographic healing. It is one of those things where we use other modalities as well, quantum touch, where you send love into that space and learn how to do that. It's a process. The key is, like with bones that are out of place, like your spine or your hips, your body actually gets to where it feels like that's the normal thing. And so you put it back into place and it goes out of place again, because you're doing a habitual activity that is pulling it back out of place, and it's beginning to think that that's the way it's supposed to be. And so that's where you get to retrain that body, retrain it, and hold it in that space long enough so it realizes that the alignment truly is about the truth of that alignment, instead of what was the muscles pulling it back out of alignment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it does. I think it just goes to show you that where you feel the pain is not always where it is coming from, where it's starting from.
Exactly. And that's where you get the opportunity to remain neutral and be totally and completely detached to what things appear to be like. And that's really the key, is how do you remain neutral? And then how do you trust what it is that you're presenting? I just looked at Joy and just said, well, it's your hip that's out of alignment. It's not your neck. I mean, your neck may be out of alignment too, but it's really the hip is the process. In holographic healing, we train you to make those kinds of decisions very quickly, so you can sense and then to trust that decision. Thank you, Joy. I appreciate you sharing that story. The key is to trust and have confidence and in your decision-making process. There's lots and lots of ways that you can gain confidence. One of the best ways I know is to not compare yourself to others, and not compare yourself. I was talking with somebody the other day and they say, well, I can't look into bodies like you can. How do you do it? And it's like, I've been doing it for 21 years. So how long have you been doing it? Well, about 6 months. So there's the difference is don't compare yourself to others. Then learn what it feels like when you're right. When I saw in Joy's hip, I had worked with someone this past weekend, or maybe it was last weekend, that they were in chronic pain, and I saw that their atlas, I wasn't even sure where the atlas was, but I heard their atlas is out of alignment. And there's a certain vibration that happens when it's right on. And I have done it enough that I've learned to identify that. And that's what we teach in holographic healing, is to be able to recognize that vibration, and that helps you gain confidence. When you're working with doctors or massage therapists or other body workers, you have to be confident in what you're doing, but not come from a place of ego or not be attached to the outcome. Remember, you as the practitioner are not the healer. The person receiving the energy is actually the healer. You are the healing practitioner. You are sort of pointing that energy. So it is still their process. It is still their experience, and they may or may not be willing to do what it takes to grow beyond that misalignment. But one of the first problems that happens is when you distrust what you're getting. So what I always did was I always asked for conscious confirmation my logical brain could understand. Now, I have a sign. If you've listened to me much at all, you know that my sign is a feather. It's also a rainbow flex, rainbow energy. I see them in odd places. But I also asked for a protective point that if the client that I was working on could see or sense what I was working with, then I could manage with it. Then it was accurate. If they couldn't, then it was something that I needed to leave alone. Another way that you can gain confidence is to question your own inner critic. Many times your inner critic is really just your ego, or you second guessing yourself. Your very first response is normally the most accurate response. So train yourself to trust that very first response. There's a specific vibration, a specific frequency that you sense. You may have a feeling when you're right. That specific frequency is what you want to clamp onto. That specific energy. And when you are right, stay in touch with your clients if you're a practitioner and make sure. I always try to call people within a couple of days to see where they are and to see what's happening with them. As you are doing that, see where they are and see how that vibration comes into play. It's very, very specific, and the only way to really hone in on when you're exactly right is to practice. Practice, practice, practice. Also be aware when you are experiencing that lack thinking, when you're thinking, oh, I don't really know how to do this. Well, you do. It's innate. You're just awakening those muscles. You're just awakening that energy. So don't filter it. And you can present any information with love. Keep in mind that when you present information, that you don't want to scare the client or yourself. If you see something or sense something that might appear to be pretty scary, be direct and present it with love. I remember very early on, I saw when I connected with somebody's energy, I was doing healing work with them. And I just saw what looked like all kinds of blood in their midsection, and I just said, something's going on there. You just need to go to the doctor and have that checked out. Well, she didn't. And she came and had another session about 3 or 4 weeks later. And I said, you need to go to the doctor and have that checked out. There's something going on. And I don't seem to be able to fix it because you're not willing to recognize it. And what I saw was in like one of her fallopian tubes, there was some kind of a cyst or a lump, and it wasn't budging. It wasn't breaking down. Well, she didn't go to the doctor. And a few weeks after that, she had her fallopian tube ruptured and she had an ectopic pregnancy. And she almost bled to death just because it wasn't responding to my energy for one reason or another. I don't know why. That's where you get to become detached. It's okay to recommend somebody go to a doctor. That's okay. And you get to become detached in that capacity, but help them understand that they need some extra help that you're not able to give them. As a healing practitioner, we didn't even get into the emotional trauma of what the story was. Keep in mind that episode kind of shattered my confidence in myself and myself as a healing practitioner because I couldn't get it to break down. Well, the child, the ectopic pregnancy was determined, and she was determined not to acknowledge it. You see, healing actually takes two ways. It takes the practitioner and it takes the recipient. And that's what a holographic healing teaches you. In holographic healing, there's 4 different levels of it. We have level 1, which is an understanding and accepting through the intention and visualization that you can indeed affect the physical body. That is called body mastery. Holographic healing level 2 is about having the ability to experience the emotional component that is affecting the misalignment and then know what to do about it by connecting with their own Akashic records. That's Akashic mastery. Then in holographic healing level 3, we teach you to view the human form as a hologram. And we help you actually see or sense the energy as an X-ray or an energetic imprint. But more importantly, we teach you how to identify what it is that you're looking at and how to read a doctor's report and then focus on the misalignment and how to put it back into a place of alignment. I worked with somebody's spine where I read the doctor's MRI where it had the neuroforum. I had to Google what the neuroforum is. Google will help your job be easier. And I saw this rough edge on that area that was rubbing on one of her nerves. So we just smoothed out that rough edge, and she didn't have to have surgery to correct it. Those are the etheric tools. And that's what we learned in holographic healing level 3. Then in that's remote viewing mastery, quantum viewing mastery. Then in holographic healing level 4, it's putting all of that to work It's called practicing mastery. It's putting together the possibilities of identifying the misalignment. It's connecting the emotional components. It's connecting the remote viewing, seeing where the misalignments are and what to do about putting them back into alignment. And then what to do about that and practicing that form of mastery. You know, when what we're offering you is a new modality to work into your alternative health practice. It's a new modality to work into your experience. It's a new energy that will work for you. And as it works for you, it is connecting in such a way that you can either build a practice if you want to, you can add it to your practice if you want to, or you can practice on your own friends and family. Holographic Healing Level 5 is strictly certification. It is reviewing. In Holographic Healing Level 5, it is certification. It's for the serious person that really wants to have a new modality put into their toolbox. In Holographic Healing Level 5, there will be 4 review nights, 2 in January and 2 in February. And they're going to review level 1, 2, 3, and 4 just to make sure. Then we're going to have 7 days of morning activations where we get together each morning for 7 days, the 1st of March, and we activate your innate ability. We activate your inner sight. We activate on an energetic level. We upgrade your software for your healing. We upgrade the pathways through your body for the healing practice. And then, as a part of level 5, you get to either come to Branson, Missouri, and do a live certification, which is where we'll all get together every night and channel. We'll all practice on each other all day long. And then you'll come before me and show what it is that you know. Show that you can do this. Show that you have experienced that energy and you can work with that. Now, I know that not everybody can come to Branson, Missouri. And I don't know why. Some people wouldn't even want to come to Branson, Missouri. So all of that can be done online, virtually, through Zoom. And that's level 5. Normally, each level is $666. The level 1 is $666, level 2, level 3, level 4, each are $666, and level 5 is $666 as well. I do have all this written on a slide, but I'm afraid that I'll mess things up when I show you. Right now, tonight, and through Monday night, because I know sometimes people watch these things in arrears or later on, or they need to think about it. Level 5, if that's the only one that you need, because we've got several people that have taken all 4 levels, we'll offer it to you for $444. That's $200 off, $240 off, something like that. That's a savings of 33%, something like that. If you have never taken any of the holographic healings and you are ready to jump into an alternative practice, you can get all 5 levels for $19.99, which is a huge savings. All 5 levels, they're all in our store. I think Joy's putting the bundle of all 5 levels, the link. If you did holographic healing 1, you need to do 2 or 3 or 4 and 5. They're all $444. They're all $444. None of them are going to be $666. If you have done 1 holographic healing level, you can do any of the others right now for $444. So they're all listed in our store. Joy can put the link to our store page, and you can do 1, and the price will automatically go down to $444, at least through Monday night. So Monday night, the 9th of December. I know people that listen to this later on will not know what Monday night I'm talking about. You know, when you look at many other modalities, I've worked with people and their modalities are, you know, thousands of dollars. And this, we tried to keep it as expeditious as possible. We're also editing the past videos and making them cleaner, easier to watch. So if you were there early on, those videos have all been edited now. And by the time you get to Holographic Healing 4, those videos will be edited. So if you are interested in adding to your toolbox, if you are interested in being a professional alternative health practitioner, now's the time, because it was not ever going to be any cheaper than this. And it is a practice that is simple to learn. It comes with intention. You build your own practice energetically as you're building your spiritual practice. And you can then work on other people. And as an extra bonus, anybody who is certified, we're going to add a page on our website and put a link to your website. Put your picture there, put your experience, your training, all of that, because you need to have a couple other modalities just in your toolbox. And then we will be able to link to you, and people, no matter what state they're in, like say if they're in New Hampshire, we would have a list of the holographic healing practitioners in New Hampshire. If they're in Colorado or Alaska, we will have a list of those. Now keep in mind that this work is done online most of the time. So you don't have to be in the state that you're working out of. So on our website page, you will have your picture and you will have a little bio as to what your experience is, and you will have what your modalities are, and it will link directly to you. That is something we have never done. However, I don't have time. I'm not able to work with people. I worked with someone today that had a diagnosis of cancer and had a diagnosis of cataracts. And we were able to achieve something in just one day. Now, it's going to take a process in getting everything to stay. It's so fascinating when you do this work that you have a session and it gets better, and then a day or two later it gets worse again. Then you have another session, and then a day or two later it gets worse again. You have another session, and then 3 or 4 days later it may get worse again, and then you have another session, and then 5 or 6 days later you have another session, and that time expands. And that's why it does take a little bit of a commitment. So we offer free of charge the page on our website for anybody who wants to become certified in it. And the certification, it really is connecting with me and making sure that you know you are using your techniques and the techniques of holographic healing to achieve that. So I don't know if there's any questions about that. It is one of,
there are a couple questions, Marilyn.
yes.
The first question is, do you take payments?
Yeah, I think we could easily take payments. Can't we? We just have to set that up. Is Jenny online with us? She can tell us, do we take payments? Yeah, I think we would take payments. I don't have a problem with it. We can break it up into 4 payments or 5 payments or however it works out.
Well, what we'll do is, because I'm not really sure the answer to that question, and I don't know if Jenny, our team member, is online with us, but I think we could answer that within 24 hours when we send out the replay. We could give a link. And I think what we would do is we'd break it up into 2 or 3 payments. We can't really break it up into more than 3 payments.
Yeah, I'm sure we can do that because we've done it with the others.
Yeah. Can I ask you some more questions?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what the question is. So, Stephanie, if you're online, maybe you can expound upon it. But she wants to know, how does this relate to living in the now?
Well, it relates to living in the now because many times misalignment is based on something in your past. And it's about acknowledging that that is past and rewriting it. And in that intention, you can do that. And it's about living now, pain free, uh, healthy, strong, and acknowledging in the now. I'm not sure if that's an answer to your question, but maybe you can clarify a little bit.
Yeah, if you're online, Stephanie, maybe you can expound upon that a little bit more. There's only a few questions. Maybe you did such a great job explaining it. I do have a couple more, but let me just reiterate this to everybody online. If you have a question, type it into the Q&A box. I mean, you've got Marilyn online for another few minutes. Ask her what anything. Ask her any questions you have about holographic healing or about her experiences with this, or, I mean, this is a unique opportunity.
It is.
Okay, so here's a question.
I see.
Have you had success in stimulating regrowth of bone, like a disc that's degenerated?
Absolutely. I love spines. I've had great success with rebuilding discs in the back, degenerative bones. I've had great success in rebuilding cartilage that are connecting the bones together. That's one of the specialties, I feel, of holographic healing. Yes, absolutely.
Let's see. Can these techniques, I think you may have answered this while I was live streaming on Facebook, but can these techniques be used on pets and animals? And I'm wondering, can you do this with your plants?
You can use it on pets and animals, absolutely. Your plants respond to human emotion too, so why not? They're alive.
Yeah, that would be a good test, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is it possible to give loving energy to assist a loved one who doesn't believe? Great question.
Yeah, that's a great question, Teresa. Absolutely. Absolutely. It doesn't matter whether they believe or not. You can still help them. Ask Oversoul to Oversoul. Ask their guides if they are open to accepting it. You don't want to just barge into someone's energy field, but ask them if they're open, their Oversoul is open to receiving that energy. So absolutely it can.
And this is from Stephanie, who asked the earlier question about being in the now. She says, she asked it in regards to Joe's work. I think she means Dr. Joe Dispenza, and how holographic healing deals with the now.
It is in the now, and it works with that very effectively. And it is about setting that intention and working with that intention in the now, in the present moment. You can go back in the past and see where the emotional core is, but you rewrite that in your present moment. And so that's about connecting with it right here and right now. That just gives you information for your brain to clear, and that way you can rewrite it and come into the now. Absolutely.
Okay. She's still trying to clarify. She says she's not sure if this makes sense. In slowing the brain waves, how does a practitioner stay in the now and be able to heal?
What I find is when I do the healing work, it is almost like a meditation, a guided meditation. And that energy is very prevalent there. And so that's what it is slowing that focus down. You're not working quickly in that energy. You're in that meditative state, like in the no thing, you're in that meditative state with intention, and that's what clarifies it.
Okay, new question. How do you find the emotional aspect when they cannot identify it? I think she means the patient, when the patient cannot identify it. So that would be like our friend's daughter.
Right. It is a matter of, if they can't identify it, the emotional component may be about the people that are around her. It may be about something that she's not able to communicate, that you are just reading her records pure and clear. And so to know that emotional component, that you can help her by communicating oversoul to oversoul, which is what we teach in holographic healing, how to communicate with their angelic realm so you can achieve what needs to be with or without their direct communication. I've worked with people in like comas that came out of the coma and had memory of me being there.
Okay, new question. Can this be achieved through personal development without courses, but just practice?
I suppose it depends on the practice and depends on what you're doing, and how you wish to work. Everything is a possibility. And so know that as the intention comes through, we learn a lot in the courses. We cover a lot of things that would be covered, how to work with kidneys and how to work with bones and how to knit bones and things like that I don't know what your practice is, and I can't really answer that because it depends on what you're willing to do for that. I learned it on my own, and it took me 21 years to learn it on my own, and I'm trying to expedite that process so you don't have to take 21 years. You can take 90 days and learn it if you want, and take care of that without making the mistakes that I made.
Let's see. What about muscle in the leg that had a tumor removed and there is a large divot in the leg? Could you work with that?
Sure. I think you can just rebuild it. Yeah, you can work with, I've never found anything that holographic healing is not doing. I've never found anything that it would not cover if they're willing to do the work.
Can these techniques be used for environmental? This is a great question. Environmental healing, for example, a town or community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did the same thing in a town in southern Colorado and changed the vibration of the whole town. Absolutely.
I'm very interested to practice live after 7 days of activations. Will it be an option or online only?
What do you mean practice live after 7 days of activation? You can practice online as well if you can't come into Branson after the 7 days of activations. You will be practicing with the people that do come in live, and you'll be practicing with others as well. So I'm not sure what you're asking, Marina. The 7 days of activations, those are online.
And we will live stream it in for people who choose not to be in person in Branson with you.
Right. And for those that do, we'll live stream the whole thing.
Okay, new question. What about dementia? Have you seen it improve that condition?
Actually, yes. I have. You get the opportunity to see or experience where their mind is and how they can connect with that. So I have seen improvement.
What would you recommend for someone who has struggled with meditation? How would you recommend they begin? We love that question.
Start with 5 minutes a day. Set a timer on your phone. Set a timer on your clock so your brain lets go of it, and just focus on your breathing first. Breathe in and breathe out, and just focus on one thing, and then move on from there. Everybody can learn to meditate, but it does take a little practice sometimes.
We have a free product, 7 days. What's it called? 7 days. It's to learn to meditate. It's on our website. I'll have to dig it up.
We have a 21-day program also that teaches meditation.
Yeah, it's in our store. I'll see if I can find the link in between the questions here. If a person wants to have low back surgery but wants to have assistance with the recovery, do we just limit the intention to that?
You know what I've found is through holographic healing, what you want to do is do energy work before the surgery, during the surgery, and after the surgery. I did that on my mom, and she had knee replacement surgery, and she walked out of the hospital, and 2 weeks later she walked down the aisle and sang in the church choir. So it does work.
Of course, that's your mom.
That's true.
Amazing. Your mom's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Can the muscle, let's see, where did my Q&A? Oh,
yes, the muscle can regenerate. Absolutely.
Can you explain how the last sessions will work via Zoom when we work on each other?
So it's a little complicated, but what we're doing is at night we'll be group channeling, and we'll be asking questions, and we'll be working in that capacity, and you will be zoomed in and be able to ask questions and connect with that. Then while we practice, there will be a recorder or a computer set up in a room where everyone is, and they're practicing on each other. And then certain times, each will come before me and do a little mini session and have somebody else in the room, and that will also be zoomed in. So you'll be practicing. There'll be several layers of it, and we'll have people that are here to help with that prospect. I hope Joy's not doing anything that week.
Let's see.
So it'll be, if you can't come into Branson, then the practice sessions will set up specific times for you to practice with people as well.
Let's see. Have you healed aneurysms?
I have. They're a little tricky because it's sometimes difficult to know exactly what you're dealing with, but I have worked with aneurysms successfully.
If the patient is harboring non-forgiveness for the situation, how does that affect it?
Forgiveness is key. So it is important to move into that forgiveness, and it is important to connect with that. That's, ask what they're gaining by non-forgiving. And there's a whole section in holographic healing, Holly, I can't remember which, probably in each of the levels, about forgiveness, because that is key. And when you have somebody that is not willing to forgive, you get to work with them through that.
What about ongoing drip at the back of throat, which seems to have gone on forever, years, along with sinus block? Last year, the doctor put me on 2 months of antibiotics for this when it got extreme and had flu at the same time. But I still have this issue, which means I am always trying to clear my throats and nose. Have you had success with this?
I would say let's look at what the emotional content is that. What's the emotional connection there? I know you, Sonia, you've probably looked at that before. And so in that energy, in that capacity, it would be about combining the emotional content and seeing what else is going on. You may even have an allergy to something that you're not aware of. I worked with somebody that they had an allergy to mold and didn't know that there was airborne mold in their home until they got an air purifier that took the mold out. And then they cleared up because they never were tested for that. So there are ways that you can do that.
I've paid for a couple of holographic healing courses due to time have not finished. If I buy the 2 other courses and holographic healing 5 course, it may be a year or longer before I finish. Is that a problem?
It is not a problem, Daniel. I would love to have you in, and keep in mind that this is going to be an annual thing where we're going to do the 5-level certification every year until people complete their process. So yeah, it's not a problem at all. It's a good idea. That way you can get it at this price, and you might be surprised how quickly you move through it if you focus on it.
Let's see. Can you learn to see even if you cannot normally?
Yes. You can learn to sense and see how the information comes through. Yeah, absolutely. You may not be a seer. I use the term see, but I really am a sensor and a hearer. But yes, you can learn to figure out. Holographic Healing 3 is learning how you get your information.
Does a person have to heal themselves of physical challenges before doing holographic healing with others? Also, I've not taken any level yet. Is this offer of 444 available for 1 or 2 levels to start?
Yes, it is available right now. It is available on any of them. If you want to go ahead and make the commitment for all of them, it will never be this. The $19.99 is actually less than the regular price for the discount. It will be available. You do not have to heal yourself, but you might find that you'll heal yourself in the process.
Is it possible to do energy healing on someone without their knowledge?
I don't know that you would want to do that. Ask permission from their oversoul. If they're not able to give you permission, you want to, I send love and basic energy of healing, and it is received and it is taken, but you always want to ask and make sure that that is all right.
Let's see. Can I book a session for healing and not take a class?
You can, but I'm booking right now for June. So that's part of the problem. That's why I want to get a group of practitioners up on the website so I can refer people to them.
Pets often take on their person's issues. Do you have any stories of healing via the pet? And how do you get to the emotional issues of a pet? Independent of the person or family, is there always a link?
Yeah, I had I've not worked with many pets. I've worked with a dog once, and the dog would never go step on any rug in the house. They would always walk around the rugs. And, in their Akashic records, we found that as a puppy, they were never allowed to get off of the rug. And so they were kind of rebelling against that. And they were also picking up on the owner's rebellion. So there are ways to work with pets. It's a little tricky. And yes, coming in and working with pets, you're actually working with the pet owner.
Okay, we've got some, I'm going to switch over to Facebook because we got a few questions there. How do you compare holographic healing to bioenergy healing?
I don't do bioenergy healing, so I can't really make that comparison. I don't know what the similarities or the differences are. I would have to investigate bioenergy healing. There's a lot of healing practices that are similar. I don't know of any that help you find out how you get your information and then build it from that point.
Is disalignment the same as unbalanced?
Misalignment is the same as imbalanced, yes.
Okay, what about disalignment?
That's an Adirondack word. You may have thought I said disalignment instead of misalignment because my nose is stopped up, and I'm going to work on that tonight. Uh,
Let's see. Do you have any workshops in Missouri?
we have had a channel workshop in August in Kansas City.
Check our website.
Yeah, check the website. Holographic healing, though, is all online except for the live certification here in Branson.
I'll put that link up in a second. You mentioned adding holographic healing to a healer's toolkit. What kind of tools are complementary to holographic healing? I'm a Reiki master, a shaman. I meditate daily, and I'm completing my yoga teacher training next year.
You've got it covered. You know, Reiki, shamanism, yoga, those are all healing modalities. Quantum touch, reconnective therapy, body, energy healing, body talk, EMF, emotional freedom technique, tapping, you know, all those are healing modalities. I say it's good to have 3 different healing modalities because you never know which one is going to be the most effective for a client. Is there any equipment that needs to be considered? Massage tables? No. You don't need any equipment besides yourself.
Can we only be activated by way of this course, or being an intuitive healer? Are we not already activated, but just upgrading to holographic healing any level?
Exactly. So as you are, if you're already an intuitive healer, if you're already a practitioner, all it does is turbocharges or supercharges what you're doing already and gives you another tool for your toolbox.
Do medical issues arising from DNA changes resolve when the body is done recalibrating, or do they continue until healed intentionally?
What we found is that through the intentional healing, that really takes care of it.
I have macular degeneration in both eyes, right one being worse, along with cataract and glaucoma. I have been meditating, seeing my eyes as perfect vision, and have experienced some better vision, trying to heal myself. Should I seek out a holographic healer?
I would say that would be very beneficial for you. And if you want, I can recommend a few that have been through the 4 levels.
You know, Marilyn, you might want to talk about that is part of the big picture, that people go through the holographic healing program, and we're going to have a page on our site after the certification that will be able to refer people who've passed through your certification as holographic healers.
Yeah, that's what we will have, a page with a bio and a picture on our site. And so you can pick out your own holographic healer. And I hope to be able to recommend people already, because I know it takes a commitment of time and energy, and I don't have it right now.
Can you do rejuvenation, lengthening telomeres, removing wrinkles, etc., instead of plastic surgeries, testosterones, etc.?
I believe the answer to that question is yes. Yes.
Will you offer the courses in Spanish?
Only if I have somebody that's willing to translate them.
Let's see. What's the difference between, we already asked that one. Do you use what's the difference between bioenergy healing and holographic healing? Was that the one that somebody asked before?
Possibly, but they ask a different question. Do you use Chinese medicine meridians? We use the Chinese medicine meridians, and we also use Adironda's medicine meridians.
I think we answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are you certifying others so they will be teachers like you someday?
Absolutely.
Oh, you know, what she's saying is be teachers like you, not just facilitators, not just practitioners.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You betcha.
Can you do more harm than good if you practice on a friend, someone who isn't in the course with you while you are still taking the course?
I think it's a good idea to practice on people that are not in the course with you. Absolutely. I don't think you can do harm as long as you pay attention to, in level 1, we talk about how to clarify the energy and how to make sure that you're not doing something that's going to harm someone else.
Can I heal myself from this?
Yes, I find that it's a little more difficult to work on yourself than it is to work on others.
Right. So what can you do to help the body to adjust to the changes after having surgery to remove the ovaries to stop more pregnancy occurring and other issues attached to the uterus? Is surgery even best for the thyself, body, mind, and soul?
I think that's an individual issue. I think that you have to decide what works the best and what affects it the most. And um, it can help. It can help with um, focusing on not having the energetic connection. Can help on focusing on clarifying the work of the ovaries. I've had people work on getting babies with holographic healing. I don't know of any that have worked on preventing it with holographic healing, but everything is possible, so why not?
Can I work on my sister overseas who recently had cancerous tissue and 2 lymph nodes removed from her breast, but is anxious because of the discovery of cancer in these nodes? Anxious that there may be cancerous cells in other parts of her body that have been detected. Can secondaries be detected through holographic healing that cannot be detected any other way, as MRI is not recommended for this?
Yes.
And then
you certainly can.
2 more questions and we'll stop there. Do you use the selenite swords in the sessions?
Many times I do. Sometimes I don't. If I'm called to, yes, I do. And we're having a sale on selenite swords on Saturday.
On Facebook?
On Facebook.
What time? What time is that?
11 Central Time.
Okay. And then the last one, Cryon mentions, for those of you who don't know who Cryon is, that is our one of our associates that we travel with him. Lee Carroll is the channel for Cryon, and he's written like 14 books, some of them bestsellers, and he's really well known for his books about the Indigo children through Hay House. So that's Cryon that people keep referring to is a lot of our soul family, and I'm sure the people online are a big part of the Cryon family. Cryon mentions body talk for many things. After a holographic session, I would think having the person do body talk would be a great compliment.
Yeah, I agree. I think body talk is a great compliment. Of your body. Take care of your body. I love your sword too, Matthew. Oh, hi, Diane. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's a lot of information here. There's good things going with holographic healing, and we're excited to be able to share it so the world can be healed, and that's really the key.
Yeah. So I think we're going to wrap this up now.
Yes.
It's been great spending so much time with all of you, and we really appreciate that you came and joined us online, and hopefully got some really good information about holographic healing and about the here, Marilyn, I'm going to give it to you.
I hope, remember, the 3 missing links are activating your genius code, which is your innate ability. It's also learning to trust your genius code and trust the information and gain the confidence. And it's also about learning how to connect the emotional and the physical together. So,
people are wondering if Adironda's coming.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, so I forgot too. So take a deep breath. So it is good day to you, So you thought you were going to miss us, did you, We will be there with you always. You understand that we have guided our vessel Marilyn to build this program. She is indeed the healing practitioner. You do not necessarily need to be a channel to be able to heal others. It is about that process. And as that process is coming through, know that that vibrational frequency is coming through with more and more and greater clarity. You are in new times of this planet. You are in new energies of this planet. You are in new vibrations of this planet. It is truly about moving into the new energy. It is not about one way or the other. It is about utilizing all of your innate abilities. And as you are utilizing all of your innate abilities, it is about acknowledging that focus and that energy, and indeed that information as clearly as possible. And with that information that is being acknowledged as clearly as possible, we are going to activate your own innate inner sight, inner sense right now. So take a deep breath. So we are going to place our hands on each one of you. So if you feel like closing your eyes, you can, or not. And what we're doing is we're just going to connect with each of your genius code. That innate ability to help you slow your breathing down and to set your intention to heal your body and, if you're interested, as well as others. If you feel a bit of tingling around your crown, that is because we are activating that energy from your brain and connecting it to your heart. Breathe into that. With the healing capacity, it is about the hologram of the body. This can be utilized with other modalities. All it does is supercharge your intention, supercharge your healing capacity. Take a deep breath. With that focus, that energy is coming through and anchoring in your heart. The heart walks hand in hand with the brain. And as that energy is indeed produced, that focus comes through with divine clarity. That focus comes through with the intention of you. It is about the balance of the meridians That we are anchoring at the crown, which are different than the Chinese meridians. That they go straight down the side of the body. Across the bottom of the center of the feet. And up through the root chakra. Take a deep breath. We anchor that at the front and back on the meridian that goes into that quadrant. Down the spine, also anchored at the root chakra. And then the quarter. Down the front of the leg, the front of the toes, up the back. It is our intention that each one of you carries the energy of love and light. That each one of you, if it is your nighttime, rests deeply. If it is your morning, activates that energy of stepping into your presence with love and light, as you are a healing magnet today and tonight, radiating that energy out for the connection of you to open that third eye so you can sense more clearly, to open the chakras and balance them, the power centers of the body, to see where your own blockages are. With or without your eyes. And with or without your eyes, with or without your ears, what you are learning is to hear with your heart, see with your ears, smell with your eyes, and feel with your nose. Everything is different now. And as all that is coming through is being activated, that energy is a power-filled focus. So take a deep breath. You are the way showers of this planet. You are the ones that, as our dear friend Louise Hay, who's working from the other side now, stepped in 1976 and said, heal your body. You are capable of that. And it took until now for people to build a profession around it. We wish to give you this profession. We wish to help you learn everything that's possible. And as you do, you will trust yourself to move forward with ease and grace and love and compassion, dearest. Your connective points are accelerating into this time of presence. Your connective points are the catalyst for moving this planet through the next dimension. That is why we ask as many as possible to be healing practitioners for the healing of this planet, for the healing of the peoples on this planet. We see your heart is present. We see you are connecting with the energy, the brain, the focus, the clarity. We see, sense, and feel your focus. Trust that. Trust that information. Trust yourself. Practice. Remember, your recipient is the healer. You are the practitioner, the facilitator of the healing energy that is flowing through others. It is a power-filled tool, and as it is, you will gain more and more energy so you can use all of your modalities for divine presence. We love you deeply. We see you. We honor you. And we bid you namaste. Namaste.
Woohoo! All right. So I think that, thank you, Marilyn.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Adirondha.
You're welcome.
I think now we're going to call it a night, and thank you all for watching us, and let Marilyn get back in her body. And and if you have any questions at all about holographic healing or the offer that we're running until Monday night, it only runs until Monday night. You can always send an email to info@adironnda.com. That's ADIRONNDA.com. info@adironnda.com. And be sure to visit our website, adironnda.com, ADIRONNDA.com. We've got a full schedule of events that we're doing. We are all over the country for sure, and some places in the world. And we would love to meet you in person. We have so many other programs that we do, and so many ways for you to learn how to really be all that you can be. And we would love to help you in any way that we can. And is there anything you want to say, Marilyn, before we sign off here?
You know, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to give us a jingle. We'll help you any way we can. We'll help you find the time to go through it if you want to complete it in March. That works. And if you don't get it done in March, then there's always another month. So it's not just a one-time thing. It'll be annually. So no worries there.
All right.
Love you all.
As we say in Adirondack land, namaste,
Namaste, y'all.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.